What happens when you decide to gain an audience on YouTube, but your actions prove that it's undeserving? Everyone has a right to platform yourself, but that platform can prove dangerous when you push your own agenda. This is the shortfall of Lumin City. A rather shortfall, I may add. I never had much faith in the dude to begin with. Even when I first started YouTube, I was already made aware of some stuff he's done, and I actually have a story to tell about him, amongst many others. So it definitely did not surprise me at all what had happened, so let's just break it all down. Mostly the themes surrounding this situation can really be broken down into simple concepts that I'll pick apart, from being unaware of situations to, might I say, pride. Pride as in a form of ego, not his LGBTQ plus ties in case that gets spun. And lastly, even his choice of words. He's certainly an odd character, so let's just get to the point. Before I even start off this video, I have to put this in big bold letters. Do not harass, threaten, or dox anyone involved. These actions I heavily condemn against and would not want my community to attempt to indulge in these activities, though I'm not responsible for what people decide to do after stating these facts because I've made it very clear that I hate people who do these with a passion. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at Tripp's point of view and see what exactly gone down that fateful day. Lumin City is a content creator with 1,200 subscriber estimate, with me literally being pubic hairs away from passing him, so if y'all could subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated, as the subscribe to not subscribe ratio is actually criminal. Anyways chat, Lumin's content revolves around anything related to the fandom, when he's not doing unnecessary criticism, going on some rant, and actually being understandable for 2 seconds. Literally, his edited voice sounded 99.8% better than his actual channel, but
included flooding, which caused mold. This was due to a lack of maintenance in the years leading up to early 2020, where it closed.
enough of that. This guy, in my opinion, is an odd fella, and what he decided to do a year ago is definitely odd. I mean, you can only use the same fire background before you start going insane. So Tripp's story is as open and shut of a case as can be. Apparently, as the story goes, Lumin had come and knocked on their door uninvited and waltzed in with their phone out as Tripp and their friend were snuggling in bed, and had taken pictures of both of them without their consent and had left. Lumin confirming that he tried to take a picture and failed in his statement, but also shot himself in the foot, confirming Tripp's friend to be Bluefolf, a furry who I could only describe as a furry influencer who posts memes and stuff like that, at least from what I know, so apologies if that isn't an accurate thing or portrayal of what they do online. But they also been in some hot water that they absolutely did not deserve to be in. More info about her troubles in the video in the title card whenever that pops up. But yeah, this really struck me as odd, as Lumin's defense was they were really excited to meet this popular creator and wanted a picture, but the way he went about it is just god awful. Discovering he was a room next to theirs and decided to already have his phone out as he knocked on the door uninvited and unannounced beforehand and just kinda had it in their faces from what I'm understanding. This incident took place about a year ago from what Lumin says, with Tripp stating they made this beware now as Lumin is really active on group chats and his weird political stances. Lumin has had multiple offenses in the past, but we'll take a look at that later. But we first must take a look at his statement to all of this and how ultimately his defense doesn't carry any weight at all. Scratching his whole statement and throwing it out the window and picking up what is most important, his defense was essentially how he really wanted to have a picture with Bluefolf. Tripp never followed through on their threat of taking legal action if what he did was truly in the wrong, how the event took place a year ago, how Bluefolf said it was fine so what he did wasn't that bad, how he's in the spectrum, and lastly, how public shaming generates ad revenue for Twitter and how public shaming skyrockets disinformation relating to minorities, and all of this is some tweet-like engagement stunt, and this was all emotionally fueled, and yeah, you get the point. Man's statement is just all over the place. Like about 0.01% is actually relating to the drama itself. I'm only joking with the statistics. They're not meant to be taken serious if you could tell. Now, let's break down his points and see how ultimately they fall short. With him being willing to take a picture with Bluewolf, he claimed to haven't been thinking straight and kinda just went to their room to try and take a picture. Now, let me ask you guys this. Would you be comfortable if someone you didn't know points their phone at you as soon as you open the door? No? You wouldn't be comfortable? Yeah, I thought so. That would make anyone uncomfortable and even scared to be in their own room. Now, trying to excuse this with Bluewolf saying it's okay shouldn't really be a valid excuse. Why, you may ask? Well, it's quite simple, my dear Watson. The reason she said it was fine was because she wanted the dilemma to be over. Like how many of us at least once in our life say things are fine when they're really not fine. Bluewolf being deeply unsettled by this ordeal, just like Tripp, who had a more aggressive approach but isn't in the wrong for being emotional about it. I know if someone pointed a camera at me when they came into my room uninvited would certainly get my blood boiling, but stating if they truly felt uncomfortable, why didn't they press charges? Well, it's because no one wants to deal with that, especially during a convention in which they're supposed to have fun. With both Blue and Tripp actually talking to the con staff about it, which should be a pretty big indicator that it wasn't okay. Further excusing this by saying you're on the spectrum is a good point to make, as those in the spectrum ultimately are rather unaware of what they're doing and how that scene is bad. But trying to pin that as a main source just kinda doesn't cut it. Being on the spectrum doesn't make your actions excusable, but it does show how he does lack more self-awareness to his actions when he does these things. Also, with this being rather a year ago and him stating there's kinda no point if it's a year ago, well, I think it's important as highlighting previous actions can more confidently determine what their next action will be, and figuring out how this person behaves to see if there's someone that should be trusted or ultimately should be avoided. And that shines when more than one person has a personal story about this guy, including myself. Now, this section should be taken with a grain of salt, as ultimately these are just personal stories with no clear-cut evidence to back it up. But it's important to talk about these personal stories with a hint of truth to figure out Lumin's character. Now, these stories are quite simple to follow, from being banned from New York furry chats along with many other chats to taking pictures without prior consent, stalking other furries, to disrespecting people's parents. Also, my personal favorite, because someone replied okay to a guy who was cluttering the chat and venting how he didn't have enough money for a fursuit, Lumin was like, "Not everyone is as privileged as you," to calling them an elitist for living in a first world country when they too are making ends meet. To get this, guys, you guys are not gonna believe this, calling them Ben Shapiro. I didn't see this coming, I'ma be honest, especially from a squeaky fur 18 plus chat of all places, which should be a red flag, as in theory he would be 17 if I'm not mistaken. Blood was honestly yapping, and it was hilarious, to saying that because the guy called him an idiot, he didn't have any good points left because he resulted to insults when Lumin insulted him back. So that means you also didn't have any good points if we're following that logic. It's baffling, it really is. He also is stated to compare current events to the Holocaust, which is, yeah, not so funny. I honestly, I don't even know what bro is doing anymore. The worst offense, in my opinion, is being in not safe for work chats while he was underage, allegedly, but many stories kinda confirming it, with one person even being stalked again by this guy because he reported Lumin was running a not safe for work panel, and then calling the staff, or I think it was chairwoman, transphobic or something like that. I mean, geez. For all these being alleged, these stalking stories are adding up once we pick up these stories, kinda like how Lumin picks food from the trash and people's drinks in front of them, apparently. Also, in a more serious tone, they did indeed dox somebody. That is confirmed. But for the sake of this person's safety, I can't share their identity nor screenshots of this, as it would indeed jeopardize their safety. As I got an attempted dox on me, people's safety is my #1 priority. And I highly encourage not seeking out this info as it's been taken down. But what Lumin had done was basically dox this individual, and a bad apple had taken this info and swatted this person and their family. and it really terrified them, and rightfully so. I know Lumin knows who we're talking about here, so I'm on my knees begging him not to release the name or info of this person for their safety. As much as I want to not mention this, it's important to not sweep this under the rug, as it highlights how his behavior and seeing himself as righteous can in fact be dangerous when taken too far. Like, this dox has caught the attention of many higher up furries, but no one has been speaking out for the sake that this dox put this person in harm's way, and we're all afraid that if we mention it, it will result in this person being in harm's way again. But I have to bring attention to this to show Lumin is someone that should be avoided and has the potential to be dangerous. As you, Lumin, covered Bluefo's dox, I would hope you keep the same sentiment of them being doxed with utmost respect, and you won't be like those type of bad apples. His excuse being it's already public info, but as we know from Sniper Wolf and Jack Films drama, it's still illegal to do and puts people's lives in danger, regardless if it's public info or not. With Lumin over this dox only took it down when confronted, not because of this person's safety, but because he was afraid of being cancelled, almost downright bragging that he alone found this info. But just like how Bluefold got swatted and was subjected to, as you say, an assassination attempt, as you mentioned in your video on Blue, I hope you don't bring this person's identity up, as you failed to realize that what you criticized on the people who had doxed Blue, you had done the same previously. Now, once again, this matter should be handled to everyone with utmost importance. Don't look for this info as it's been taken down. Don't harass Lumin about this. Don't seek justice in the form of harassment. The best we can do is tell others about his actions, in which case helps less people interact with Lumin and ultimately could put less people in danger. As more stories are coming out about him, it's getting to the point where we just can't stay silent with this information. If I'm not mistaken, we can actually cross-reference both the stalking and running a not safe for work panel underage to, I believe, this video, stating it happened a year ago at FurPoc, so FurPoc 2022, in which Lumin in this video references him running a panel. This alleged not safe for work panel being a pool toy inflatable panel type thing. It's certainly a panel. Now, I'm not here to kink shame anyone, but I always view people who love these things a little bit weird, but I'm no one to judge. I just think the whole inflatable getup is a bit strange, but it's not for me, so I have no room to criticize it. I'm just a 17-year-old, which Lumin was too when he was in not safe for work chat, so hopefully I don't convert to the dark side anytime soon. But basically, yeah, this panel would be the panel that would have gotten reported. That was the part left out of the video, so my confidence rate is 99.8%. But this is the convention where the stalking and not safe for work panel should have taken place. Now, this would be seen as a not safe for work panel from what I could tell. These inflatable pool toys or whatever does have some not safe for work ties, and him being underage running it, it was evident that it would be shut down. Nothing wrong with not safe for work panels though. I think there's after dark sections after a certain time during conventions, which hopefully goes smoothly. Just don't be underage or lie to get into not safe for work spaces, especially into not safe for work group chat, as Lumin has been proven to have done. Honestly, the more research that has been done about this guy, the more Pandora's box opens, and it's rather concerning. I mean, this just puts my story about this guy to shame, if I'm gonna be honest. So, my story happened during the whole HeartFox debacle. See the info card that pops up for more info, but our rather quick quote-unquote feud started when he made a YouTube short and community post about how Lagover attempted to assassinate HeartFox's character because he made a joke tweet about canceling the puppet. Not the dude, let's just make that clear. And how HeartFox took that tweet and ran with it, saying it was planned, and well, yeah, you could see the video for more information. But yeah, Lumin claimed that Lagover attacked and assassinated HeartFox's character because of a joke tweet, but also claiming they attacked them with their big audience. But truth be told, YouTube subscribers don't mean anything, since this all went down on Twitter, where the comparisons were 5,000 to about 36,000 followers respectively. Lumin attempted to refute this by saying HeartFox didn't have many followers as they didn't blow up yet, but the Wayback Machine proved otherwise. And with how Lumin handles talking to creators and how disrespectful he was, keyword being was, it's shocking to say the least. I mean, he argues that it's all in the past, but as we see from stories people shared, people's past can reflect their future. It shouldn't be the only thing to define someone, but should be used as a predictor to determine what's common in their behavior and actions and what isn't. Anywho, I made my own short as, to be honest, just kind of wanted to clear the air of the drama, but also to do it in his format and just be petty about it. With this dude emailing me on my business email to say how everything in his video was true and how Lagover plagiarized his video, but when I countered argue stating my facts, which was true, I was spitting, and when I called out how Lumin used buzzwords, cause the man does that, and how some videos he completely missed the mark in his coverage in my opinion by going on a rant on section C3PO or something instead of mentioning how we as a fandom or even people in the LGBTQ+ can better learn why doxes occur and why we should support and lift each other up as a fandom rather than talking about a reform that may never happen. And because of that opinion I stated, he didn't like that at all. And he replied saying, I don't think trans people are facing hostility, when my original point was him using buzzwords. So yeah, that was a head scratcher. Even he himself admitted to how he believed his video seemed like an attack on Lagover. Or if we're using buzzwords here, how he attempted to character assassinate Lago. Now, that is to say, my YouTube short isn't flawless. I said that he had zero evidence, but he actually did. In the description of his YouTube short. Let's be real here, who's gonna see that? Not only that, but the original point of Lagover plagiarizing his video was that I had to go on Kiwi farms, which can only be accessed by using the Tor browser, like the dark web type stuff. I literally had to go into the dark web browser to find this info chat. It's actually baffling. But by bringing my counter argument how if he's really trying to explain everything furry by being this furry news type of outlet, it's important to show the evidence within videos and explain it and its sources that have been hidden away in a citation in browser that people most likely won't take a look at. He just kind of bragged how it really showed his commitment to research, which how he claimed Lago plagiarized his video because he's not transparent in his sources, which being transparent literally means things being easily seen. Your sources and where to find them took quite longer than they needed to. And I doubt people even knew how to find it, which doesn't make it transparent at all. At the end of the day, this guy is a little nutcase, with his common themes being lack of awareness, stalking his behavior, and dare I say in the YouTube landscape, his righteous hero mentality, with stating commentary YouTubers aren't going to save furries or the LGBTQ+ community, I have to. Like, you're not that guy, pal. With even mentioning Bluefold's situation and at the same time bringing up another unfortunate event, I think Ashley downplays her sad situation she has gone into by focusing on something larger and pointing viewers not into the direction in Bluefold's favor, but in support of a bill. For now though, it's best to avoid this guy like how my dad avoids me. I recommend simply just blocking him and maybe even sharing this video. Though I'd probably suggest reporting him to con staff and maybe also showing this video to them. I'm afraid that there's more bad apples in this fandom. More fish to fry. And this kid isn't relevant enough for constant backlash, but obviously we'll see and monitor how Lumin will behave moving forward, if he chooses to, and not attempt to excuse himself yet again and trying to make my video seem irrelevant. And unlike Lumin, I'm not going to tuck away my sources. I'ma be a little petty, alright, and compile all my evidence in a Google Drive link with the folders being the timestamps of this video to what evidence I shown in the video, along with Tripp's Beware post so you guys can see some stories I may have missed and come to your own opinion. And just like how I replied to Lumin, I wouldn't touch him with a 39.5 foot pole. So keep life lovely, and this is Novely, logging off.